Hi, and welcome back to our Envision Home at Last video series. Today I'm meeting with Jason Blenker. He actually does some of our local excavating for jobs around town. And we're here to talk about excavation. Jason, thanks for being here. Let me know right off the bat what it is that you look for before you even get out on site.
You know, one of the first things we got to look for, Mark, is we got to look at the site plan. We want to get familiar with where the house is located on the site and make sure that we've got any setback, if there's any setback issues, that we've got those resolved. Depending on where you're building, if you're building in a subdivision, typically the lots are going to be a little bit smaller, and we've got to make sure that we're at proper location, distance off the lot line to meet those setbacks. If you're out in the country, it's not quite as big a deal, but usually the owner has a specific spot in mind that they want to put that house. So a site plan really spells out where that house is going to be laid on the property, and we want to get familiar with that and understand if there's anything that's going to be an issue right up front.
All right, now when you show up on site, what is it that you do first?
You know, the first thing that we do is we want to generally locate the house and look to see if there's anything that we need to remove. If there's any trees that need to be removed, if there's any stumps that need to be removed, we'll do that. So we'll generally stake out the house, we'll remove any trees, pull any stumps out of the ground, and then we'll strip the topsoil off because we want to salvage any of the topsoil that's on the site so that we can reuse it later on. Sometimes there's not much topsoil if you're building in a wooded area, but you generally don't want to use that for backfill material because it's organic and it'll decompose if it's used for backfill around the house. So we want to put that off to the side. We want to make sure that we've got our silt fencing up around the perimeter of the property so that any of the runoff and that doesn't go into the neighbor's yard or get into the sewage system or anything like that.
Also, I think utilities. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we want to make sure that we're away from the utilities. So what we usually do is we call Diggers Hotline. It's required that we give Diggers Hotline notice that we're going to be excavating and digging in that area. So they'll come out and they'll flag any utilities, any of the electrical, any of the gas and phone and data. We want to make sure that those are away from the excavation site so that we don't hit those and run into those.
Okay, now everything's stripped off, ready to go. House gets staked out. Where do you go from there?
From there, we're ready to start digging. So we'll establish a benchmark. And what a benchmark is, we want to know what the top of the foundation is. And from there, we need to know, we're going to subtract the height of the basement so that we know our final elevation at the bottom of the excavation. So we usually work with the owner, work with the builder to establish what that height of that foundation is. And there's a lot of things that you need to take into consideration. You want to look at the height off the road. You usually, if you're in a subdivision, you want to be up high off the road so that you've got positive drainage to the road and to any storm sewers and things like that. If you're out in the country, you want to be high enough up so that you've got positive drainage around that site so that all the water, you don't have any water coming back into the house. So once we know the elevation of the foundation, we can subtract the height of the concrete walls and set our benchmark for the basement, and then we can start digging that out.
Okay, so once it's all been dug out, at that point, are you ready to pull out?
Pretty much. I mean, we will make sure that the site is cleaned up and that they've got access to get in there, that the concrete guys have access. So we'll usually build any roads or driveways or tracking pads and get those ready to go so that other people can come in there and do the next steps of the project.
Okay, and then once that foundation's been in and set, if it's a poured wall, for example, it's poured, they've stripped the forms, what happens then?
Then we're ready to start backfilling, and usually we want to give the foundation a few days to cure out so that it gets hard enough that we can put some soil pressure against it. We want to make sure that it's waterproofed, and then we want to, if there's any styrofoam going on for insulation on the exterior finish, that's properly in place. Any drain tile, if some areas have high water tables or heavy soils that you want to put drain tile in around that foundation that goes into a sump pit and then gets pumped out of the house. And then we're ready to start putting dirt back around the foundation to bring it up close to finished grade.
Okay, and when you're doing that, what are some of the things that you watch out for or plan for?
You know, some of the things we got to plan for when we're backfilling is making sure that we've got positive drainage around the site. And then we want to look for areas that are going to have concrete, such as the inside of a garage foundation. We're going to be pouring a slab on top of that. So we need to actually bring in our compactors and compact that soil back to its full compressive strength. So within the garage, any stoop areas, any sidewalks, things like that, we want to make sure that we've got compacted and ready to go. From there, we'll bring in fill around the house. We'll try to get it within 6-8 inches of finished grade and make sure, again, that we've got positive drainage all the way around the site.
Okay, and then I'm assuming the rest of the crews come in, roofing, siding guys, the house gets completed, and then you get called back, right?
You're absolutely right. So we get called back in kind of at the end before they're ready to start landscaping. We'll do a kind of a finish grade, make sure that we've got everything draining properly the way it should be draining. In a lot of cases, we'll put topsoil back in, or we'll bring topsoil in for the landscaper, and again, make sure that roughly we've got it draining out and that we've got enough topsoil in there to support good lawn and vegetation in there.
Okay, that pretty much covers, I think, excavation from beginning to end, doesn't it?
It does.
Okay, good. Thanks for helping out today, Jason. If you like what you saw today, I'd appreciate you subscribing to our YouTube channel, or visit us on our website, envisionhomeatlast.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.